So, in today's lesson, we're going to be talking about the trifecta. Like human beings, we are metaphysical beings. We are not merely just a physical specimen. Physicality is a part of the hidden reality, like we discussed before, that human beings can only operate within a tiny band of frequencies that our sensory perceptions can perceive in order for our brain to comprehend what's going around and process. The three elements, the known, the partially known, which is subconscious, and then the complete unknown. Majority of life is lived by the entire human experience in the unknown. A fraction of that is lived in the semi-known or partially known that we call subconsciousness. And the closest you can get is the dream sequence, right? The dreams, the human dreams. We're not going to get into the other side of what other creatures are and what kind of dreams they see or they perceive. That's not the topic of our conversation, but in general, human beings, we tend to share similarities across the board as a species when it comes down to the dream sequence. So the dreams are the crossover between the unknown and the known. Like in the dreams, you do not know how did you get there, but you are there. You see things, you meet people, but a lot of times you don't see them speaking, but you can hear. You can perceive what they are trying to see or say or convey. Similarly, you have the known world, where the information that you can get, it's from the resonance, from the frequencies that are bounced off the physical reality. Such as if you see a tree, there is one energy that is coming from the tree, perceived by your senses, and you can sense it. One is when you project your own energy field onto the tree, and the tree bounces it back off, comes back to you, your perception, and you see and perceive it as tree. The third one is the gray area, which is the easiest way to comprehend, is when you are in the dream sequence. Tree, physical object tree, is not there, but the perception of the tree that was stored inside your memories based upon the knowledge that you obtained whilst you were awake. It's projecting its energy field onto your subconscious, and your subconscious is filtering through a plethora of data. Through that plethora of data, you manage to make an expression which is called the tree in your lingua franca, in the language that we communicate. Now, there are going to be plenty of explanations on this subject from different philosophers, theologians, from scientists, and it'll be a conversation between scientists and mathematicians, and some will say the tree was always there, and some of them will say the tree wasn't there, you were just projecting it, and as you project, you create. Some of them will say nothing exists, some of them will say it exists, and you have the Socrates or the Socratic method of the belief, and then you have the Platonian method of some form of metaphysical meets physical, and then you have the Aristotelian concept of the physical reality as the filtered version of what your consciousness perceives. And then it goes into a multiple or a multitude, a wide horizon, a horizontal horizon given to us by the philosophers from all walks of life. And then you have the amazing theologians who are the closest to what our mind can comprehend in terms of the morality, the ethics, which is, of course, the essence of being a human being, human rights, the humanity aspect. And the laws are governed by the higher supreme force, call it the mathematician, call it the physical or the physicist, call that person a designer, an architect, an engineer, or whatever, or that being, depending on what kind of theological lens you are looking at that divine power that creates a reality in which multiple realities exist, such as the Mandelbrot set that we now know, or the pi, or the phi sequence, which is basically, like we discussed, the spirals. And the spirals, the reality of the spirals goes back to 3, the triangle. So the trifecta, the 3-body problem, there's always 3 present on the verge of the metaphysical meets physical bridge, or the verge of reality, I would say, where metaphysical meets physical. And this is where the spirals come out. So if you unwind the reality of 3, you'll be able to create a spiral, and a spiral in all forms, whether it's in the micro or the macros, whether it's the whirlpool or the iris. All of that is connected to the reality of 3. And this is where we discuss the existence of human consciousness in the trifectal methods, or the trifectal formulas, where E equals mc square meets F equals ma meets quantum mechanics. And that's what our mind is, or our mind perceives, or our mind processes, whilst the data is stored in the heart, because, like we discussed last time, that the heart produces the power to run this machine that has 5 senses, 5 realities that can help an average human being to process the information. And knowledge is the currency of these 5 perceived senses, which brings us to the 6th one, which is the 6th sense that human beings cannot point a finger at. Like, you can't really see where the 6th sense lies. You can tap into it when you have this gut feeling, or the inner feeling, or the connection, the unseen connection. Sometimes you meet someone, right, and you recognize that person from somewhere, but you're meeting that person first time in your life, but you kind of know that person from somewhere. Same thing if you want something and you are having that desire in you, and then that thing appears sometimes in the form of, for example, a human being, or you want to talk to someone, and you were just thinking about that person, but their thoughts were coming to you in your brain, and you pick it up immediately. That person rings, or you tell them, oh, by the way, I was thinking about you, and then you rang me. So that is the reality of 3, and that reality of 3 exists in all forms, which can be codified in multiple methods. For example, Newtonian physics, F equals ma, reality of 3. Einstein, E equals mc square, reality of 3. So all the massive equations, and those equations which created the technology or helped create the technology that we are using right now to progress further in life, based on the reality of 3, all of them, where the subconsciousness is running at its maximum output and maximum input, because our subconscious is getting fed information from the consciousness, which is basically based on the senses, and then it's the subconscious is how would I say, the subconscious, the job of the subconscious is to connect. It's like a bridge that connects the unknown, the unconsciousness, with the consciousness somehow. And this is what was explored by the theologians such as the Ibn Arabi, where he spoke about something called alamul misal. The alamul misal means a universe of forms, examples. So your subconscious looks at that universe and then pulls the information out, feeds it to the consciousness, and this is where things exist. So these concepts need exploration, and it needs more comprehension from the consciousness's perspectives. And we human beings, we have a job to perform on this planet, so we will try our best to learn and observe from all angles. And this is why in this section of Peter Daunov's findings, discoveries, and teachings, you can see the connection. Like we discussed, scientists see it from different perspectives as compared to philosophers, as compared to physicists, as compared to musicians. The triad, so mainly chords, musical chords, you play it with the formula of 3. So 3 is the key to the unknown and the known. We're gonna explore this more. It's around 3 a.m. and my brain is shutting down right now, but it needed to be done, so here we are. Catch you in the next one. Stay safe, enjoy, and cherish your memories, because you never know if that's the last day of your consciousness, and then your unconsciousness is going to take over. So before that happens, gotta make the most out of it. Adios.